Hey, welcome to a bonus episode of The Stone Genius. I'm Ro. I'm the Stone Genius. Here to be something. I couldn't think of anything great to put there. I was going to say muse, but I'm not going to be anyone's muse today. But I am going to be high. I hope that's as annoying on your end as I felt like it was doing it on this end. I think I'll turn my mic level down a little because I'm sitting a little close. So originally I was like, I am doing this show this morning. It's going to be a bonus show. I'm just going to put it out because I am angry about a lot of things. But from that time to the time I hit record, something happened. And I seem to have my levels of frustration and anger have seemed to dissipate. Much like a violent tornado as it just disappears into the sky after doing its damage. I'm trying not to pause real long. I actually listened to a show yesterday. What? So I do a couple other shows. I do one called The Ro Show with Steven, and I do one called The Longest One Night Stand with Bobbi and Ro. In that particular podcast, the latter of the two that I mentioned, I play the character of Ro. So we had an interview on that. The interview actually will be out here as well with Salty Sex Cast host Mariah. And so I did the interview, and then afterwards I did an apology interview on The Longest One Night Stand. Because often, I used to say I never listened to previous podcasts that I recorded. I always knew immediately afterwards how I had done. And I relied on that. Rarely was there a need for me to go back and listen. In fact, I cannot recall one up till this time. So I stole something in my apology from Andy Kaufman. If you do not know who Andy Kaufman is, genius comedian, long story, no longer here. If you watch, I think it's called Man on the Moon, the kind of documentary, I don't know what they call that, starring Jim Carrey. There's a part in it where he was going to do a TV special, and younger people, anyone under 45 probably, or at least when I'm recording this, anyone born after 1975 may not remember this, but TVs used to, when you had antennas and things before cable and streaming and those type of devices, you could get somewhat of a picture. Now, like if you're using an over-the-air antenna, you either get the picture or you don't. There is no, it's hazy, it's coming and going, I have wavy lines, things like that. But you also had horizontal and I believe vertical adjustment. So if you got wavy lines, it would like tune in the signal. I don't know. I'm not trying to think of someone radio, but I got really high this morning. I can't think of anyone. Maybe Alexander Graham Bell. I don't know. Someone like that. Anyhow. I don't even remember what I was talking about. That's how high I got this morning. I did not sleep well last night. God, what was I just talking about? Something. It seems like it should have been an important thing that I was talking about if I was going to be doing a show. And the more I talk about not knowing what I was talking about, I literally don't know what I was talking about now. Probably should have written that shit down. I wish I had a producer at some point. Oh, Andy Kaufman. I was trying to see how long that took me to tune that back in. So it was about 15 seconds. I'm not going to blame. You can blame cannabis all you want, but I graduated with honors, motherfuckers. And I was stoned out of my gourd every fucking day. I was doing my presentations stoned out of my gourd. So let's just dial it back a notch. I'm going to say more likely than not, this is brain cloud, brain fog, whatever it's called, from post-COVID. Because it seems to have gotten worse since that point, since I had COVID, which is funny because I mentioned brain cloud, which was the disease that Tom Hanks had in the movie Joe versus the Volcano. Never heard of it. Not surprising. Andy Kaufman, for his special, they show in the movie Man on the Moon that he wanted to put like static lines, horizontal static lines in the TV broadcast. And the network executives they didn't get it. And he goes, well, it'd be funny. And they go, well, no one thinks that's funny that their TV's broken. He goes, yeah, but it's not. And that was the whole thing. You're trying to make someone. And so then he wanted it to go like a really long time. Like instead of just doing it, people go, what happened to my TV? He wanted it to go so long. This is how you fix TVs back in the day. First of all, they were more than an inch thick. They were big boxes. So how you fix them, if you had not gone to TV and VCR repair, you would just go up, and depending on whether you were left-hand dominated or right-hand dominant, you would smack the TV on that side. So if you're right-hand dominant, you would smack the TV with your right hand. If you were left-hand dominant, you would smack with the on the left side of the TV. If you were fitful of fury, you would just smack it on both sides on the top. I mean, I heard that people did that to the television. So he wanted to do these horizontal lines because he thought it was funny. So how this ties into, dang, I just really jacked my mic there, which is different than when Bobby jacks my mic. Hey-oh, calling my penis a mic. Boop. And that's just because it has a windscreen on it. Oh, shoot. Dang it, dang it, and then, oh, gosh, that was really late to the show there. I am so sorry. I will fire our producer once I find one and can blame for all the troubles I've had. So in my apology, I apologize to both our guest and to my wife, my co-host, for the apology special. And it was talking about how I had identified some things. Quick story. I should force you to go over there and listen, but you will or you won't. Go. And how about this? Go. You don't have to listen. Just go follow it. I think that helps me. And then maybe put it on when you're in the shower. No, that would probably be not good in the shower. Anyway, just go over there. Just follow me and then come back over here and I'll give you the old quick rundown of what happened. Basically, I had said the guest that we were talking about sex. And one thing that I had mentioned was that, I will do things to take off her plate just so that she doesn't have them. And it's not like, I don't feel like I'm doing the dishes and then expecting sex. But what we were pointing out was it doesn't matter. I don't know if that's how Bobby felt or not. All I'm saying is I can't determine how she feels. Just because I'm doing the dishes so that that's not on her plate. She has enough other stuff going on in our lives that dishes probably don't need to be anywhere on her list. So I had said that I apologize to Bobby if she thought that the dishes that I was doing was for sex. And then I also apologized to our guest because that episode ended turning out to be a conversation as opposed to an interview. I didn't even make it to the first question that I had written down for an interview, which I knew the answer to, but the audience probably, unless they had heard her show previously, would not have known. And it was, why is it called Salty Sexcast? Didn't even make it to the first question. So it was a conversation. It wasn't, I would give it a C+ at best, even on a conversation. I don't know why I wasn't happy. So I joked, it probably didn't make me look good. And I've said it before, eventually I will be the leader of a cult. Like a good cult. Like think happy, the happiest people you know, that type of cult. And you may be like, oh, I bet they're on drugs then. Yeah, probably. That's going to be a big deal. So, yeah, probably. So I had mentioned that so the two things I was going over in that episode were that I felt bad because I didn't want Bobbi to think I was doing dishes so that she would have sex with me. I was just doing it. So it took that off her plate, and if sex was a byproduct, then so be it. And then I said, I apologized, saying that I was not happy with the way that I came off during the interview. And so this is, if you know me, you'll know sarcasm. And I wonder if anyone did this besides my wife. So, Ro, why did you bring up Andy Kaufman and the vertical lines? So in my apology interview, or in my apology episode, when I get towards the end of, and I had been talking for a bit about my apologies, my feelings, and things that are going. So when I get there, I say, so I have drawn up 2 actionable items that I'm going to implement immediately. The first one being, I will no longer do dishes. I don't want Bobbi to think that I'm just doing dishes for sex. So I wanted her to know I would no longer do dishes. And then I said the easiest thing for me to not look bad in that previous episode was to delete the previous episode. And then I paused for a second. I go, oh my gosh, if I delete, I think I talk a little bit more, but then I basically am like, oh, if I'm going to delete that episode, then I should delete this episode too, so I could just stop talking now. And then I stop and I pause. And I wanted to go for 10 seconds. And 10 seconds doesn't sound like a lot, but just watch your phone or whatever has seconds on it for 10 seconds. So I made it like 5 seconds before I talked again. I wonder how much, because my wife actually said that. She's like, oh my God. That was it. That was the end of the show. But I paused, so that was my vertical lines. I literally wanted to see how many people were like, fudge, and just stopped. I figured 5 seconds was enough time that people would start making a move towards their listening device or get ready to pause it or turn it off or do whatever they needed to do. I think if I would have gone 10 seconds, even Bobbi, I don't think she would have made it 10. Because even as long as... So I listened to the show yesterday specifically to hear that, and it actually was pretty good. Because there's just no sound. I'm saying how many people stayed with me that time. I almost ended the show right there. I was thinking that would be a great way to end the show, so that because I was talking how the show continued, that you would wonder whether it was still continuing. Oh, that would have been better to do it that way. That really would have been a lot. I should have done it that way because that would have been funnier. Because when I was talking about how I gave a 5-second pause to see if people would continue on. It would have been much funnier if I would have just stopped talking and not done it on this one.